Like this young lady this is her first job, I would like her to do a little homework. Because she said something yesterday that really pissed me off. And that was, she said there will be no wokeness here. Oh yeah. Let me explain something to you. Because without that wokeness, you might not have that job.
Let me be unequivocally clear about that. And watching this clip, I couldn't help but think how ironic that Whoopi Goldberg and Joy Behar and the rest of the ladies on The View spend their time calling Republicans the conspiracy theorists. But they have been wrong about everything they have said over the last couple of years.
The wokeness was put in place for a reason. Because black people couldn't get into colleges. Because women could not get into the colleges they wanted to go to. This is all women. Yeah. See, this is not black, Asian women. This is all women. Women were not invited to this party. It was a man.
Oh boy, Whoopi Goldberg has done it again. After her last controversial take led to a suspension, you'd think she'd learn to read the room. But nope. This time she went after Karoline Leavitt on live TV, and let's just say it didn't go in her favor. When you push the woke agenda too far, even the cancel culture crowd starts turning on their own. So grab your popcorn. Whoopi might be on her way out of The View for good. The hosts of The View have once again landed in hot water for doing exactly what they claim to oppose, undermining women's accomplishments. You'd think after being sidelined for 2 weeks, thanks to Bill Maher of all people, Whoopi would have learned to hold her tongue. But instead, she set her sights on Karoline Leavitt, the current press secretary for Donald Trump. What did Whoopi do? In true woke fashion, she didn't challenge Leavitt's ideas. She went after her entire career. According to Whoopi, Leavitt didn't land her job because of intelligence, hard work, or skill. No, according to Whoopi, it was only because Leavitt criticized wokeness. In Whoopi's eyes, if you don't conform to the virtue signaling narrative, your success doesn't matter.
This young lady this is her first job, I would like her to do a little homework. Because she said something yesterday that really pissed me off. And that was, she said there will be no wokeness here. Oh yeah. Let me explain something to you. Because without that wokeness, you might not have that job. Yeah. Because women were not invited to that table. Women were not invited to many tables in this nation. The reason we fought and busted our behinds to make sure that you didn't have to worry about this. And now to hear you talk about it and to hear anybody talk about the wokeness was put in place for a reason. Because black people couldn't get into colleges. Because women could not get into the colleges they wanted to go to. This is all women. See, this is not black, Asian women. This is all women. Women were not invited to this party. It was a man's world, and we busted our asses to make sure that this was a...
The wokened mob follows a similar tactic. When they can't outsmart you, they resort to discrediting you, as their approach is more about ideology than valuing quality. This time, however, Whoopi may have risked her job due to the intense social media backlash her comments sparked. The actress faced significant criticism for making baseless claims about the 27-year-old press secretary. When Whoopi claimed that wokeness was the movement supporting women's rights in the US, what exactly did she mean? Last we checked, it was generations of strong, independent women who didn't need cancel culture or Twitter mobs to create real change, who fought for women's suffrage and fair pay, not the woke crowd. If anything, woke culture today, as exemplified by The View, spends more time silencing women who disagree and controlling the narrative than actually empowering them. Rather than advancing women's progress, wokeness has hijacked the movement, using it as a political tool.
She's probably been put in there because, according to Donald Trump, she's 10. You know that's what it is.
I want to be clear, though, it's not her first job. It was her first press briefing. She worked in the previous one.
According to The View, women can't succeed on their own merits, especially if they dare to hold conservative views. Joy Behar never won. To hold back her opinions, jumped into the controversy and made things worse by firmly stating that Karoline Leavitt was hired solely for her looks, not her intelligence. It's interesting how this works, considering this is the same platform that claims to champion female empowerment, unless, of course, you don't align with their woke agenda. If you don't toe the line, then, according to them, you're just a pretty face destined for success. At the same time, these same people praise Kamala Harris for her historic accomplishments, but conveniently overlook the political connections that helped her climb the ladder. This just reinforces the idea that conservative women aren't seen as deserving of their positions. Karoline Leavitt didn't let these comments slide. She came in with full force, ready to take down the ladies of The View with her sharp response.
A deranged lunatic and you're mentally ill? You will believe that lie, and yes, you will take political. Like we have seen in 2 instances against President Trump. Last week, Tim Walz and Kamala Harris said that everyone who showed up to President Trump's rally at Madison Square Garden was a... That's despicable, dangerous, divisive rhetoric that is spewed by the Democrat Party every single day. And I'm so sick and tired of the media pointing the finger at Donald Trump and saying that he is sowing division in this country. He is not. The media is for pushing hoaxes like the one that you all pushed today, and the Democrat Party is for pushing lies about him. But the good news is Americans don't buy it. And that's why today President Trump is more popular than he has been since 2006.
Karoline's hummed. Biting remarks left no room for doubt. When the cameras were on, the co-hosts scattered like cockroaches as the awakened crowd erupted in disbelief. Apparently, no one had warned them that a 27-year-old press secretary might actually fight back, leaving them completely caught off guard. Whoopi and Joy floundered on live TV, desperately trying to recover, which was like watching a toddler insist they meant to fall down the stairs. They had expected the usual routine, arrogant attacks, nods of approval, maybe a few condescending claps. But The View's breakdown was a perfect example of how the woke elite operates. They claim to support strong women, unless those women dare to hold opposing views. But this wasn't Karoline Leavitt's first rodeo. She recently visited the White House and mingled with woke reporters. Naturally, Sunny Hostin attempted to clean up the mess, probably using her usual legal jargon to mislead viewers into believing The View was the real victim here. Not to be forgotten, Ana Navarro. So long. As you don't think for yourself, likely chimed in with some patronizing nonsense about Leavitt needing to learn her place.
On immigration, of the 3,500 arrests ISIS made so far since President Trump came back into office, can you just tell us the numbers? How many have a criminal record versus those who are just in the country?
All of them. They illegally broke our nation's laws, and therefore they are criminals as far as this administration goes. I know the last administration didn't see it that way, so it's a big culture shift in our nation to view someone who breaks our immigration laws as a criminal, but that's exactly what they are.
They all have record.
And welcome to if they broke our nation's laws, yes, they are.
By definition, illegal immigrants are violating the nation's immigration laws, and Karoline is spot on. They should face the consequences. But do you think the woke crowd can grasp such a simple concept? Clearly not. They're too caught up in a sea of empathetic virtue signaling to realize that rules should be followed, not twisted to serve political aims. Interestingly, these are the same people who probably view law and order as mere recommendations, rather than a cornerstone of society. If the woke mob had their way, they'd open the borders and act surprised when crime rates went up. The woke crowd seems incapable of understanding the basic idea of consequences, while Karoline is over here pointing out the obvious, the woke. Elite has a remarkable ability to ignore common sense, replacing it with a false sense of moral superiority. Sky News presenter Paul Murray was so impressed with Karoline's performance, he compared her to a rock star.
Overnight. Now, I know she's been around for some time, but how's this? She's just 27. But she's fantastic. This is the brand new press secretary representing the president. Now, remember old Karoline Jean-Pierre just lying to people about how amazing Biden was, deep fakes. The one before that, Jen Psaki, circle around just telling lies. Well, they've been replaced with a lady called Karoline Leavitt. I repeat, you can see she's a lady of faith. She's a lady who knows how to fire guns recreationally, and she knows how to drop a few bombs verbally on a press pack that, remember, covered up for Biden and have told the worst possible lies about incoming future Hitler Trump. Have a look at her taking control of a room of people who normally wouldn't even roll their eyes at a person like her, but now they got...
Producers reportedly had a moment of clarity when they decided Whoopi Goldberg should be removed from the program. Folks, this was a smart move. They could easily find someone else who might attract more viewers rather than keeping a host who never stops talking. Karoline's attacks seemed to have been the first major hit on their ratings, which left the audience in shock. The backlash on both social and traditional media was so intense, it almost seemed like they had finally made a legitimate point. Whoopi's ability to tank her own show's ratings is truly something to behold. As for the rest of the crew, instead of handling the criticism with some grace, they doubled down on their mistakes. If their goal was to make The View the most humiliating show on daytime TV, then I'd say mission accomplished.
You know, ABC having just paid $15 million for a defamation lawsuit would think not to engage in conspiracy theories about assassination attempts, but I guess that's too much to ask from The View. I mean, I gotta ask you, because they said it, are you aware of any plots from Elon Musk to push President Trump down the stairs? Absolutely not. Let me be unequivocally clear about that. And watching this clip, I couldn't help but think how ironic that Whoopi Goldberg and Joy Behar and the rest of the ladies on The View spend their time calling Republicans the conspiracy theorists. But they have been wrong about everything they have said over the last couple of years.
In fact, if their perspective were any more of a conspiracy factory, these ladies would be churning out more wild theories than a tipsy fortune teller. They might even start selling tinfoil hats as part of their own merchandise line. Not only were these so-called political analysts wrong, but they also made some costly mistakes. They've become more of a liability than a legitimate discussion show. What did they gain from their frantic efforts to paint Trump as some kind of superhero villain from a comic book? A huge, spectacular failure. Their fear-mongering not only backfired, but it also financially hurt their own network, ABC, which was forced to pay a jaw-dropping $15 million to settle a defamation lawsuit against The View. Honestly, if ABC paid them to stay quiet, they'd probably save a lot more money.
We will expose the fake news when they are fake. We will hold them accountable for their lies and smears of President Trump. I can also assure the American people that they are going to be hearing directly from the leader of the free world. And the press likes to hear that too. That's something that has not happened over the past 4 years. We've had an incompetent, senile president, as proven by that scathing Wall Street Journal.
Karoline Leavitt isn't just calling out fake news, she's practically handing out cease and desist orders like party favors. And it's about time. The media has been spreading more fiction about Trump and his allies than a poorly written Netflix political drama. Karoline isn't just exposing the lies, she's taking legal action to make them pay for it. And allegedly, that's what's happening over at ABC. Realizing they were one defamation lawsuit away from financial disaster, the network reportedly decided to cut their losses, beginning with Whoopi Goldberg. Let's be honest, Whoopi has been a walking liability for years. Between her Holocaust gaffes, wild conspiracy theories, and her constant failure to read the room, she's been as helpful to ABC's reputation as an oil spill is to a beach. Vacation. So now, in a desperate attempt to save their sinking ship, ABC has allegedly let Whoopi go. And if that's true, it looks like cancel culture has finally come for one of its own. Poetic justice at its finest. So, there it is. The View tried to play the usual woke game, but this time they fumbled hard. Karoline Leavitt crushed their narrative. Their ratings plummeted, and ABC allegedly hit the panic button with Whoopi. Turns out, when the woke mob turns on itself, it makes for some must-watch entertainment. And that's all for today, folks. If you enjoyed our fiery commentary, hit that like button and consider subscribing to join the anti-woke army.